You're on a new episode of Real Estate vs. Technology. Welcome, everyone. Super excited about today's episode. If you haven't already done so, subscribe, notification bell, so you'll be notified on Fridays, 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. We have new episodes that come live every single week. Number one marketing position agency, Liftoff Agent, who sponsors the show. We got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dan Gandy, our co-host. What's up, Dan? How's your morning going?
It's going good. No complaints. Beautiful day.
Nice. No fires, not sick. Good to go.
Fingers crossed.
I know, right? Just before on air, we're talking a little bit about that. But today we're going to be going to Santa Cruz, actually somewhere where Dan lived for about 8 years and got married as well. We have someone from the Wolfpack. He's a coach, top-performing real estate professional. Shane, what's going on? Welcome to the show, man. Excited to have you on.
Hey, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, it's great to find out that, Daniel knows my neck of the woods because most people are like, where's that? So thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Good to be on here with you.
Yeah,
that was so cool because you're talking about the little church you got married at there, Dan, and you knew exactly where that's at. So it's like if you're from there, you would know.
Right. Yeah. If not, it just sounds like something from a fairy tale. Oh, it was a little white church in downtown. Yeah, I've actually seen it. It's real. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
dude, I love it. So you've probably been in the business for quite a while now, Shane, right? I can imagine. And so you're doing the coaching thing, Icon Agent, EXP, you're with Wolfpack, they're crushing it. See the logo behind you. So why real estate, man? How long you been in? Why real estate? And how's things looking for your business nowadays?
Well, I'll try to keep the shorter version. I'm known to be too long-winded. You probably need a 2-hour session. People would lose interest after like 20 minutes. But no, I've been in the business for 23 years. I actually I started in 1999. And this is probably my 24th year, I guess. But wow. I came in on the mortgage side, and I crossed over to sales in 2008. I grew up building houses. My dad's a general contractor. I actually got my general contractor's license, which I basically hold an active general contractor's license. When they're not working on my listings, they're working. So basically, my whole life has been all about building, financing, and selling. But quick little story is I got pulled into real estate because when I was in college getting my business degree, I was working at Wells Fargo Bank. This real estate broker used to come in. I used to help all the business owners. He used to come in. I was always trying to sell him something. And one day he's like, can you come see me after work? Because he's like, every time I'm here trying to sell me something. So I went to his office. He's like, hey, instead of, making $12 an hour or whatever it was back then, why don't you consider, talking to me about real estate? And so he got me going on principles, to get my license in California. And then right after college, I got recruited by a mortgage brokerage in Seattle. So I went to Seattle for 3 years, which was a fun experience. I'm really glad I did. I was up there for 3 years doing loans all over the country. But believe it or not, that's initially how I got pulled into real estate. Was I got recruited while working, while still in college. But just full circle, I came back to California. Did really well in mortgage. In 2008, when the market crashed, I finally had a chance to cross over to sales. I had a really good business, good relationship with a lot of realtors. I felt odd about crossing over to the sales side because these are small towns, as Dan knows. Yeah. It's like, it's not a big city where you can kind of, just make that kind of move. It's like, oh my God, he just went from lending to, you know what I mean? It's like everybody's going to know about it. And then I felt like I was going to burn relationships with all the realtors that I was working with. You know what I mean? So when the market crashed, I took the opportunity to cross over. And, since then, I eventually became a broker. I have my own branch. I have about 40 agents in my organization. I've really always been a top producer. I love to sell. I love to help clients. And so I still actively sell. I'm not really one of those team leader types. I mean, I'm more of a pioneer in sales, and I love to keep doing it. And in the meantime, I do mentor. I'm a certified mentor. I do mentor some agents. I like to coach and help agents out as well. I don't have an official coaching business. It's more mentorship and, working in collaboration. So that's anyway, good. Hopefully that wasn't too long of an intro.
No, it's good, man. Good. Yeah. And I saw in your profile, you with the construction background, are you doing some fix and flipping? Like kind of what's your investment,
Yeah. So I've actually, since back when I was lending, when I was a lender, I'd do 3 or 4 a year myself. And then, I've continued. Well, for a while, I got so busy. That's the thing, is I always put my clients first, which really is what you're supposed to do. But I put everybody first to the point where sometimes I don't have a lot of time. So for a while, I wasn't doing a lot. Last 3 or 4 years, I started doing more. I also got involved in Airbnb as well. And, but Airbnb's been a little tougher here lately since the storms last year and with the economy and everything. But the fix and flips, there's still some good margins. I mean, obviously you got to buy right. But yeah, we're able to basically do it all. I mean, we can buy it, finance it, and flip it ourselves. And obviously you got to have some guts because, you're buying $1 and $2 million properties that you're hoping that you can turn around with carrying costs of $15,000 to $20,000 a month. So you gotta have a strong stomach. I'm sure in Oregon you could find stuff that's a little more affordable than that.
We do, and usually distressed properties are selling, anywhere between 225 and 250, 275. But no, it was interesting because I just thought of you because Jordan Mott had posted he had sold a property in Aptos or somewhere up in the mountains for it was like 795,000, and I was like, wait, those are that's a good price for a flip, and and that was the first time I had seen a property under 900.
Wow.
Yeah.
And years.
Well, here in my neighborhood here in Rio Del Mar and Aptos, if it's rare to find anything under $1 million, and it's usually like a little 2-1 that needs a lot of work on a really busy street. Right now, the few townhouses and condos we have are selling for, 800 plus. So it's nuts. It's nuts what it costs. And, a lot of people are retiring here. To even get in this market, I mean, you got to be bringing in at least $250,000 a year in income. I mean, and that's crazy. That's why a lot of our, friends and colleagues, different people I know growing up have all moved away. It's it's interesting. I've gotten to know my community and I know a lot of people, I know my neighbors, but, I go through these neighborhoods here and most people have relocated here from Silicon Valley or, a lot of the older people that have passed away, the families have sold the homes. And so, a lot of the neighborhoods here are not like some of the neighborhoods that a lot of us grew up in where our families are still there, our parents are still there, still, you know what I mean? It's interesting, the dynamic. But, I'm not saying that to knock it. It's just what it is. It's just a different, just not kind of what it was like growing up south of here in South County,
Yeah, I think it's on that note and on that point is that if you're in the sales side of things, right, that's a good thing to have. You get turnover, you get listing volume, you get good commission checks because the appreciation is always happening, so the values are always rising. And you guys are blessed because I always try to tell everybody, if I sell 6 homes in Santa Cruz, my wife has tried to get me to move back a few times. I'm like, dude, if I sold 6 homes, I sold 40 this year already. I would, I would make I would only have to sell 6 homes, 6 clients, 6 pieces of paperwork. And it's a very unique approach because we're operating in that $300,000 to $450,000 range. And there's a lot more. It's not that you guys aren't hustling, but there's just way more mechanics in order to do the same amount of GCI.
Yeah. Well, the thing though, too, and I try to tell agents from higher volume markets too, is that, it is true. It's more efficient with your time, but keep in mind when you're in these kind of markets, we don't have as much volume. So, I mean, you could definitely do better with less units. I totally 100% agree with you. But I'm just saying, if you did 40 units here year to date, I'd be on my knees worshiping you because, that'd be quite a feat. I don't think we've had 40 in my neighborhood this year. You know what I mean? I'd have to look at the stats from the year, but it's, volume's down about 30%. There's really not much inventory. Plenty of property to make a living. You can always make a living. I mean, look at me, 1999 to now. I can't tell you a single year the market's affected the business. It never has. If I've had a bad year, it's all me. It's I always own it, right? You need to own it. This whole BS about bad markets is just BS, right? If you're a professional, you're good at what you do, you're going to make it happen. But no, when I moved back from Seattle, I got a job opportunity with a mortgage brokerage here. So just what you were calculating right now, I was doing loans nationally where my average loan amount was 200. My colleagues down here were doing $800 to $1 million loans. And so just like what you just did with that math, I was like, okay, wait a minute. So I can go back home close to family. And don't get me wrong, I loved Washington. I'm so glad I was there. If my family and more of my life was up there, I would have stayed there. I absolutely love Washington. I've been to Oregon too. I mean, Oregon's cool as well, but I'm more of, a Washington person based on my experiences. But what I was going to say, though, is that same calculation you just made, that's what drove me back sooner, was to take advantage of the opportunity with a company here where I could do that. And yeah, my income went from, 100,000 a year to 7 figures within 48 months. And so, yeah, you could totally do the same thing. And, but I don't know that you're ready to leave Oregon and come back to Santa Cruz. I guess happy wife, happy life. It might happen sooner than later.
Yeah, it's always a fine line. I told myself, if you can get the investment side humming enough where you can bridge that gap. I think a lot of people, when they get into this business, like if you're not a brand new agent and you want to venture into this business, into a new market, you got to have the marketing systems. You got to have your stuff dialed, but you also have a little nest egg in order to operate, for 3 to 6 months before you're starting to cash commission checks. That's
yeah.
I was talking to an agent that's thinking about joining us from back east last night, and he's going to be moving to San Diego. And there's a lot of agents that have gone into new markets and done really well. And he was kind of apprehensive. He's like, I got it made where I'm at right now on the East Coast. I think he's in Virginia. And we were talking about that, going into a new market and conquering. And I think one thing you got to keep in mind is the belief and the confidence in yourself. Like one thing I was telling him was like, hey, you're killing it over there. You got the skill. You could do the same thing in this market. You just have to adapt. Just like I was saying, like over the last, 24 years, being able to do well in any market, I've always been adaptable, right? So it's like, you just got to be adaptable as a realtor. But I agree with you. You got to have your systems and your discipline, first of all, but you can go kill it in any market. Like one of my colleagues, Suman Kim, I don't know if you guys know him, but he moved from San Diego to Austin like 3 years ago. He's like one of the top 5 agents in the whole company in production. He kills it. He sold like 85 million or something last year in Texas. Like, so,
Wow.
It's just like, I don't know the exact numbers, so don't quote me on that. You can look it up. But I mean, he's just crushing it. And his strategy was YouTube videos. He went over to Austin, did his YouTube videos. And so, I mean, Daniel, nobody's really killing the YouTube game. You come into our market here and you do those basic videos and just start becoming the authority on it. We get a lot of people from outside of our market buying. If you're totally like disciplined, you have a system in place and you work it, and you're okay with, doing the work even when you're not getting the results, because that's the key thing right there. Is like too many agents will try something a couple times. Oh, nothing happened. Or geographic farm. Oh, I sent out mailers for 2 months. I didn't get nothing. I mean, dude, like I think one of the biggest reasons why 90% of agents fail is because they don't build that consistency and they're not willing to put in the work when they're not getting the results. And I mean, I don't know you that well, Daniel, but I'm pretty confident that you would be consistent. I don't think you'd be one of those guys to give up.
Yeah, no, it's I always call it the short-term or the long-term thinker, right? You got to be short-term strategy and discipline and calendar management and being able to produce, but the long-term results is really what makes you successful. And I think that's what I tell a lot of the new agents that I recruit. I'm like, hey, for 0 to 6 months, you're probably going to be a part-time agent. Not that you want to be, it's because you're going to be. But if you do the things that the income producing activities, the calls, the content, the open houses, and you make a commitment to looking at this, not in 0 to 6 months, but from 0 to 36 months, that's really where you're going to start to see that conversion happen. Because like I had a unique advantage when I got in real estate. I was working with Norm, right? We knew marketing. I went from 0 to 85, like in my market, I went from 0 to 80,000 in GCI, which sounds like nothing in California, but in my market, it like is top 15%, working like 4 hours a week. And then from 80 GCI to 300 GCI, like is all systems, marketing, and discipline, but videos every week, content going out. And I don't care if there's no ROI on it because I just keep doing it.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even know you that well, but I could tell you're like that kind of person. That's why you've done so well. That's the thing is like, most people are not willing to do that. And right now, agents that came in during like the better times, they don't know what it's like to be in these kind of markets. And so they don't know what to do and they're leaving. Like if you do all this stuff, you could weather any market, right? And for me, I'm a big database guy, right? 90% of my business comes repeat referral. I've established that. And at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, adaptability to a changing market. You just have to be willing to adapt.
Yeah. 100%. I absolutely love that. That makes a lot of sense. And I just want to reiterate mindset, right? At the end of the day, I think a lot of this is turning into a mindset. And so everyone who's listening and viewing, we have two powerhouses right now going back and forth, talking about the nuances of your mindset and making sure that you are set up for weathering any storm out there. So I just want to encourage you all to like, subscribe, notification bell, and Shane, I love some of the things that you're talking about through that process to be able to have the success that you've had over the years and stay in a market that you want to stay in, which is awesome. And so going through that process, what are some things that you would say you do specifically and tactically over the years to keep a predictable, scalable, model?
Well, I think that, I think I waited too long to learn how to really nurture and stay connected to my database. I didn't really fully pay attention and get my reviews and everything until about 7 years ago. So,
Wow.
I mean, it's a little embarrassing to admit that I was able to be a top producer without doing enough of the fundamentals to actually be a top producer or to be consistent. But I think that just being like always hustling, being a hard worker, being disciplined, I think that's what always kept me in the game. But when things really elevated was about 7 years ago when I finally branded myself. Like this whole oak tree, like my last name in Portuguese means oak tree, right? So my mom's an artist, so she painted the tree and then they did the whole digital imprinting thing to use it for marketing. And so I branded myself. And then I also decided that it was important to start getting client reviews. So it's funny, if anybody goes and looks at me online, I have a ton of reviews, but mainly from the last 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And then the other thing too was keeping your database and grouping your database. Believe it or not, what kind of really helped me get on track with, so because I'm a big like warm market database repeat referral guy, I got paired up with something called The Core, which is a coaching company.
Yeah.
And The Core was so parallel to like my mindset and what I do. And so what I've done is I have all my contacts in Google and I have them all grouped. And so with The Core, I learned how to kind of break down those groups. And so I prospect an hour every day in those groups, but it also elevated my ability to, I came up with this questionnaire. In fact, on my bio, on my drop down menu on my bio on Instagram, there's a copy of it, but it's called the All About You form. So it's basically a Google survey where I get all of my clients' info. So as soon as I engage with a client now versus back then, I get all my clients' info, and like their birthdays, pets, kids, who's your favorite sports team, favorite restaurant, where you like to get coffee. Like I get all that stuff up front, and I have a gifting program where they're getting birthday gifts, on their birthdays, and where I'm staying engaged if they have a special anniversary. I quit doing that whole home anniversary thing. That just got kind of out of control. A lot of my clients would move, and then that was too complicated. Their birthdays don't change, so like, I'm going to stick to this. So, but anyway, I set up a gifting program where one of my assistants automatically sends out. I know some people do automated gifting where it's just some online thing, but I like to have a personal touch, and so we still manually send out gifts. I'm getting to a point now where I've grown my database so much where I am going to have to start automating more of that. But I like to, like the people that are classified as my VIPs, I still like to have a real personal touch. So basically what it entails or what I've done that's become, more predictable and given more stability to the business is really worked the database, stayed in contact with the database, and then did my prospecting each day the way I have it organized, which I mean, I could always offline connect with you guys or share because I'll share everything. I don't sell anything. I don't have any secrets. Like when anybody wants anything, I'll give it to you. But essentially is that each day you're touching a different group. Tuesdays, big important day, updates every Tuesday. Any client that's looking at homes, anybody that's in contract, a listing that's on the market, something that's coming up. Every Tuesday they get an update from me and my right hand, my operations manager. We send out an email every Tuesday. I never want a client to have to ask me what's going on. Like I want them to know what's going on. And the purpose of that too, because you're talking about predictable or stability in your business, is like you can ask for referrals, ask for reviews. Like you have a win with them. Hey, this Tuesday, hey, congrats. We had multiple offers. You're in contract over list. By the way, do you know anybody else that wants to buy or sell? Or
there you go.
Hey, do you mind doing a review? Like it gives you an opportunity to take advantage of a win to get a review or what have you, right? Then the last thing I do too is I like to try to do like 3 coffees, lunches, whatever I can work into my schedule. I try to do 3 meetups a week with either people in the database or other vendors. And then lastly is events. I mean, during COVID, that really slowed down a bit, but I like to do at least 2 live events a year, like big ones, where I invite everybody. I've done some killer stuff over the years. I didn't even know COVID was coming. Like, I guess nobody did. But December of 2019, one of the best freaking holiday parties I've ever thrown. There was people at my house. They did it at my house. I had like caterers and bartenders and everything else, but I had people at my house till 4 a.m. Like, it was a raging party. It was awesome. And I'm so glad that it went down like that, because obviously the next 2-3 years with everything we went through and fires and riots and COVID and shots and no shots and all the other crap, I felt like I was having like a going away party without even knowing that life was going to change for a few years, you know. But I love to entertain. I love to cook, and just like, you know, putting these things together. And then I'd like to go back to maybe doing a monthly mixer, because I used to do a monthly mixer that started building a lot of traction, and that's just like little happy hour 5 to 7, have people drop in, you know. But those are like, and then lastly too, and I know I don't want to go over time for you guys, but really quick, the last thing that's important with this whole database thing, I like supporting local businesses, right? We're entrepreneurs. We're building our business. These are small towns. Daniel knows how small it is here. Local coffee shop here, for instance, my buddy owns South Point here in Seascape. What I said was, okay, I'm going to put a credit card on file with you guys. Is it okay if I make some co-branded gift cards? I'm going to send these out to my clients' birthday, you know, like these birthday, anniversary, all this gifting I'm doing. What I've done is I've gone and I've set up accounts with some of these local businesses. I put a credit card on file. I give these little branded coupons to clients as gifts, right? Or someone gives me a referral. You know, here's a $10 gift card to South Point or whatever. Here's the beautiful part about this is 2 things. One is some agents say, oh, I don't have a lot of money to be putting out gifts and stuff. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I probably have over $2,000 in gift cards sitting in my car in a folder that I keep saying I'm going to use. I know you give to give. Like, I'm not saying I don't want people to spend. Less than 10% of these get spent. Yeah. So I'm gifting and they're not getting spent, but it's putting out publicity for the local business. And when they do go and spend, they're giving money to one of our local businesses in our community.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, it's a win-win-win-win. So I do give for them to spend, don't get me wrong, but it also has that efficiency where if it's not used, it doesn't get charged. Because I used to spend thousands of dollars in gift cards, and who knows, they're probably sitting in somebody else's car, right? Like, I don't know. But anyway, I know we're out of time on this part, but I just wanted to share that because I think that's a really critical one, because it hits 3 different wins, right? There's 3 different pieces there. But anyway, back to you guys. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I saw Dan's wheels turning, and I'm sure whoever's viewing and listening, their wheels are turning, you know, and that's super smart to be able to just give back to your local community and just make it so that way everyone's winning at the end of the day. And yeah, why not? You know, you could just have a transaction, take 5, 10, whatever percentage it is out of each transaction to give back, you know, and everyone knows that if you give, you know, the more that you give, the more you receive, as long as you're not expecting it, and you're just being your true authentic self, which is awesome. I love that. I actually think that's amazing. So I know Dan probably wants to chime in, and then we'll leave the episode with the takeaway for our viewers and listeners there, Shane, as we get closer to the end here.
Yeah, Shane, it was interesting because I wrote down everything you were doing. 2 updates on Tuesday updates, you know, 3 coffee referral networking meetings, 2 live events, 1 mixer once things get. And it was refreshing to hear somebody, because I have when I bring on a new agent, I have this like weekly marketing plan of what they should do, right? The only difference in their Tuesday updates is they have no transactions and they have no database yet, right? So that is basically substituted with prospecting, right? And building those relationships. But your plan is like almost identical in terms of like, you need to be creating communication, asking for referrals, and continually building relationships with people every week. There's a direct correlation to more business. And I think that if there was one nugget that I take away from this entire meeting, is that if you're not building relationships locally, then how do you expect people to give you referrals or for business and name recognition and branding and awareness to actually take place?
Yeah, don't be a secret agent. One quick thing on that, Dan, is that my newer agents that don't have anybody and they come, I don't have anybody. Go meet 5 people a day. I don't care. Go to the grocery store, sit in a coffee shop, put on some stupid shirt. Like, just go talk to people. Like, I've become very yeah, I'm not going to go into it right now, but I get irritated. Like, go meet 5 people a day, even 5 days a week. That's 100 people a month. You should have at least 1,200 people in your database just from that. If you had nobody in the world.
If you haven't reordered business cards with me in 6 months, you're failing. I know you're not doing that. That's how I measure it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. This has been awesome. I feel like this show has been very free flowing, tactical, practical, and there's some action steps whoever's listening, viewing out there can definitely apply to their business. So in closing, being respectful for time for everyone, and we're gonna have you back on, Shane. You know, for our viewers and listeners, there's some things you can go back to the episode. There's some notes that could take. Dan already just said what was the biggest gold nugget from his side of this show today. What do you want to leave for our viewers and listeners as we close out the show that they apply to their business right now? As soon as we're done with the episode.
So you want me to? So basically, the action for your. Okay, so first of all, right now is, interest rates are all. Forget all that BS, right? Like, really show your clients the numbers, right? Because I hear this all the time. Oh, we're on the sidelines. We're waiting. Well, what are you waiting for? You can get a lower interest rate and a higher price next year. Do the math. Like, enough of this BS about interest rates and bad markets. They need to buy a house. They need to sell a house. It's a good time. Just figure out what their need is. And this is very simple. If you're not savvy, I mean, I was a mortgage broker before, and I've been doing this for so long. So obviously you guys are going to be like, oh, it's easy for Shane. Fine. But here's another opportunity to build a relationship. Go build a relationship with a lender and tell them, talk to me about temporary buy downs. Talk to me about permanent buy downs. Talk to me about numbers. Like, for every 100,000 in price, like, how much, principal, interest, tax, and insurance is that making a difference in the payment? Because I can tell you right now, if your client's real objection is that interest rates are too high or the payment's not what they want, show them the numbers. You want to compete with everybody else next year and pay 100,000 more. In our market, it's 100,000. Sorry, Daniel, but in our market, it's 100,000, right? Percentage. But anyway, it might be in the Oregon, it might be 30,000. Whatever it is run the numbers between what that interest rate and payment is versus what it'll be with the higher prices, and also look into buy downs because there's less competition. Some of these homes are appraising way over what people are paying for them. Get the seller to give you a $30,000, $40,000 credit to buy down that rate. Or if you're in a lower price market, maybe it's $10,000, $15,000. But basically, take advantage of this market, both as a buyer and as a seller, and don't wait for market. So I guess, I don't know if that's kind of what you were thinking, but as far as for me, that's what I'm telling the bulk of my agents right now that aren't producing, because that's what's hot right now, right? Any other tips or tricks, reach out to me. I'm always happy to share. Like, I love this stuff. I live this stuff. I mean, I don't think I'll ever retire. I absolutely love this.
That's sick. Awesome, man. That was great. Thanks so much for dropping the knowledge and dropping the bombs. I think this episode could definitely be tactical practical for anyone who's watching.
I'm happy to come back and tackle anything as you want to tackle. I mean, I love to put it out there and give, and I learn a lot from everybody else. Like, I mean, I pick up stuff from you guys, even from brand new agents. Like, I'm always learning. I'm a sponge. I never act like I know it all. I definitely realize that I know a lot just from when you're out there talking. It's like, oh, I didn't know I had that up there, right? But then I'm always still learning. There's always so much more to learn.
Yeah, totally.
I love it.
Great to meet you, Shane.
Awesome. You too,
Yeah,
Ben.
definitely. Dan, thanks for co-hosting as always.
Always. Great episode. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, it was. Shane, thanks for coming in as our special guest today. I definitely feel like our audience will be able to take things to apply to their business for sure. We'll get you back on as well, and we'll have to vibe out yet again. Maybe we'll get you in our in-person podcast studio here sometime in Gilbert, Arizona. That'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got some clients that are going to be buying in Gilbert. Maybe I'll come down at the same time. And
there you go. Okay. Well,
awesome.
let's make it happen. I'm down. And to our viewers and listeners, it is our intention for you to take things from episode of Apply to Your Business, have more massive success. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you all on the next one.